Hi, welcome. It's time for Coffee with Me. I'm Susan B. Lochocki, running for President of the United States with the Green Party. And this is my kitchen, temporarily. And I have a nice view of nature outside here. It's really great. It is Tuesday, the 28th. It's Talk Tuesday time. And welcome. I should say that I am dressed in a traditional suffragette outfit that was worn 100 years ago, or even more, by even longer, by women who were fighting for women's rights and wanting the right to vote. And I don't know if you know this, but this is the 100-year anniversary year of women's rights to vote in the United States. So women, we have been voting for 100 years. Congratulations to us. And yeah, you men out there, I know some of you did not specifically vote for that, but your fathers or your grandfathers certainly did. And so congratulations to them too for having such wisdom and trust, and it's great. So I'm really glad that we've been able to vote for 100 years. And coming up next month is when it happens. So I'm going to start switching back to women's issues soon and talking about different historical women. But you also can't separate the women's rights movement from the civil rights movement, or even the Civil War movement, or the Civil War. Franklin Douglass was, or Frederick Douglass was a important voice, as most people know, from the Civil War time. And he was good friends with Susan B. Anthony, and they were supporting each other for a long, long time. And then it came down to the people in power making the civil rights movement, the abolitionists movement, freeing of slaves and getting the right to vote for everybody, for black people as well as women and so on. There was a big struggle going on, and unfortunately at some point the black men decided that they would have to accept the fact that they could vote in elections and that women could not. Somehow the powers that be suggested that that would be a good idea, that they could accept that. For some reason they didn't want women to vote, and so then they passed the amendments to allow African American males to vote, not females, but males only. And that left women out of the picture for another, 20, 30 plus years, which was a shame. But I think it put a big ridge, a big fracture in our society between men and women. But I understand too that, when you're confronted with something, sometimes you have to isolate. And I suppose the black men at the time, the African American men, the ex-slaves, wanted their rights. And I can understand that too. So they made that decision to have the right to vote, but just for men. And that's where a big break in the solidarity happen. But before that, or maybe around that time, this is something from Frederick Douglass, and it's called The Limits of Tyrants. And I guess it was a period of time of tyrants. And I thank goodness all the time that we are living in a time of less tyrants. Although sometimes it feels like there are still tyrants. I think we're much better off today than we were 150 years ago, right? Or 155 years ago. So those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want oceans without the awful roar of its waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Find out what people will submit to, and you have found out the exact amount of injustice which will be imposed upon them. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress.